Welcome, welcome back to another episode of this 2 Hours Talk. Go ahead and take it out.
We're live. There we are. We're live, and we got a great show for you today. We're going to talk to you about mindset and your everyday, how you move around, and things of that nature. We're also going to talk to you about the Georgia carry law that just recently passed and gun control when we get back. So,
Yeah.
just in case you didn't hear me, Georgia carry law. We're going to talk about mindset and gun control. Now we're going to get that going. You know, the yellow line was around my head, so I just knew I was going with it.
Right. So we're live on Twitch,
YouTube.
Facebook, and YouTube. And if you guys are on those streams watching, we'll welcome you to go ahead and chime in, ask any questions you want, or there's a number down below 446-920561. And you can also call in.
Yep.
And go ahead, Al.
Yeah.
Express
So
yourself.
when we talk about the mindset, we're looking at what do you, on a daily basis, how do you feel? You know, you wake up in the morning, it's not a great day, it's right from the start. How do you get yourself together that anything that happens, good, bad, or indifferent, that you're ready to deal with it? And in our case, we're mostly speaking of people who are everyday carriers, people who carry a firearm for self protection. So you have to wake up and you have to find a way to get to back to that even par. You just got to find a way to be even keel. You can't be too angry. You can't be too happy. You got to be able to be aware of what's going on around you. And one of the big words, buzzwords, recent times is situational awareness. And all that means is be able to be aware of what's going on around you. So if you're angry and you're fixated on something, and you're not paying attention and you just got that one motion, you just locked in, that's not a good thing. And then the opposite side of that, totally, if everything is just so breezy and it's just so happy and you're not paying attention to the people watching you, that's not a happy either. So you got to be right in that middle. And there's a lot of information out there way back into the 30s, the founding fathers of self-defense and awareness. One name pops up to my head is Fairburn and Applegate, and we're talking like right around World War II time. This is what these guys were starting to talk about situational awareness. Those were buzzwords that came out of the military and law enforcement were now picking up with our everyday citizens and people who are now becoming more vigilant in firearms and self-protection because we have a lot of people out in this world. We have a lot of people in this country, and we don't have a lot of cops. And I know some cohorts of people who are pro self-defense. They'll say, "Hey, man, you shouldn't promote that." But if you look at any roster for any agency in your community and national, statewide, you'll see the citizenry outnumbers the police. All it would
And
take,
even the military.
and
Yeah.
even the military, right?
Yeah.
But the military is like that secondary, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's abroad, and then really total chaos going on in America. But the law enforcement, police officers, deputy sheriffs, constables, marshals, those are the people that we interact with as far as citizen control. We still outnumber them. 5%
Mm-hmm.
of any population anywhere, pick a jurisdiction. It doesn't matter if it's a 2,000 person town or 200,000 person town. 5% of that population decide one particular day that they're not going to follow rules and not going to follow laws. It's a wrap.
Yeah. It's nothing.
Most
Well,
agents,
we
the largest
saw that.
agency. Yeah, exactly. Keep
We
going.
saw this last summer. Right.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So one of the largest agencies in Georgia is still less than 2,000 man department, 2,000 person department. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you look at APD; they're still hurting. They're looking for numbers. They're doing all kind of incentives, trying to get people to come. Fulton County, all of them, they all have like minimum staffing, and
Right.
that's a problem. So that is why I go back to where we started. The mindset has to be that you have to protect yourself. Situational awareness. Watch who's watching you. That's the first part. Second, watch for abnormalities and the anomalies. Those people who are standing around that all of a sudden, when you come around, they throw a hood on their head. Or in this day and
Mm-hmm.
age, everybody's wearing the damn mask. So the
Yep.
person that puts the mask on, but they didn't have it on when you were down the street,
Mm-hmm.
or the guy that, in my situation that I've seen, guy lights a cigarette, right? I see him. He's about 20 yards ahead of me. He's sitting on a little post, and me and my wife are about to cross the street to go to dinner when he was sitting right at the crosswalk. As I'm watching this dude, he lights a cigarette. As I get about 10 feet from him, he
Cigarette
throws the
goes out.
cigarette. He throws the cigarette away. Now I know street people.
Yeah, they don't throw away cigarettes. That means he's about to do something.
He's about to do something.
Yeah.
Took my wife's hand and we made a beeline straight across the street, right in the
Right.
middle of the street. It was clear. I had looked both ways. It was clear. Took his route right off because he was waiting for my ass to walk up and
And
put my
walk right
back there.
past him,
Not
and
happening.
he would have got you.
Not
Yep.
happening. Seen
Right.
it many times before. The thing about being a victim is, not being a victim is to think like a criminal.
Right.
Right? If you can't do
It's,
that, and I understand, what I just said, would somebody could flip it on me and say, "Well, that means you're a criminal." No, I think like a criminal.
you
I see
gotta
the
out.
opportunities. The same
Yeah.
way you would do an ambush,
Yeah.
right? If you don't want to be ambushed, think like, what would you do to ambush somebody else? So
Right.
what do you mean? Am I a bushwhacker? If I
Yeah.
need to be, I will be.
Yeah. It's counter. Yeah, you do counter ambushes,
Right.
and so mindset is it's a heavy thing. It's a lifestyle. Not only you gotta have the mindset to counter and stay safe, but keep out of harm's way of people trying to do you harm. But you also gotta learn to stay off your phone in public.
Mhm.
Don't have your head down in the phone, texting and carrying on and checking your emails on. It's not that important. Wait till you get in the private area. You also gotta for women, you guys gotta secure those purses. Stop putting them in what do you call it, grocery carts and walking off and all this other stuff, and you also got to have the mindset, are you willing to fight for your life?
Oh yeah. Well,
And
I'm gonna
that,
get to that in a second.
oh yeah, yeah, okay, all right.
But one thing
And
I want to say right now, real quick, for those that are watching this that know this guy and know me, I gotta give it to him. Every time we talk about this, he's been consistent. No rah rah, no I'll kick your, no I'll beat, no he'll do it if necessary, but he always talks about avoidance first. That's the one
yes.
thing that I've noticed with you. As long as we've been together, we've known each other for a long time, but we've been doing this for about 5 years now, 3 or 4 years, whatever it is. One thing that you've been consistent with is, look, I'm doing your thing right now. See that? I just realized.
The knife hand, oh Lord, he's doing the
One thing
knife
I
hand. See.
realized is that you have been consistent with avoidance first. And that is
Yeah.
one thing, there's no rah rah, no, I got two guns. I wish you would. No,
Right.
nope.
Right.
It's always been
Because
avoidance.
yeah, and also on that mindset, you got to think about it only takes a half a second for you to become a victim to become a criminal.
Right.
So that mindset is not just um it's not just walking. I even do it in a car when I'm driving. I'm always looking for an escape avenue. I'm always looking, glance at the car next to me to see what they're doing real quick. Then I'll look on the street corner and see what they're doing. I'll see who's crossing the street. I'll see who's looking, crossing behind me. I especially watch these guys who you drive up on the street and they're acting like they're selling something or panhandling. And always make sure my doors are locked. Always got an escape plan. And so my mindset is always self-preservation first.
Right.
And so that means I am going to, it is it used to be tiring at first, but now it's become a lifestyle where I just constantly do it all the time. I'm always checking my 360, always checking my 360.
Right.
And I'm always looking ahead and planning out that route. If I take 5 steps or drive 5 feet, that route is replanned from point one to the end every single time. So it's not something you can have the mindset and you can say, okay, I'm gonna do this, if that, I'll do that, I'll do that. It constantly changes,
Right.
and so the mindset, it's like when you start, let's say if I walk into a room and it's not just me sitting my back against the door or something like that. Sometimes you have to do that because it's you. If you get up and run, you got the perfect exit right there.
Mhm.
And so, but if you come into a room, you observe the room, identify colors, identify all the biggest threats in the room, and remember what they're wearing, what they look like within a millisecond. Now, as soon as I step into the room, I do it all over again
Mhm.
because now I just saw a different set of people. I just heard different conversations. I
People are
just,
moving.
yeah, things are happening. And
Mhm.
so my mind is constantly evolving. The situation is constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. And the mindset for me is always, self-preservation. I'm always looking for escape route. I'm always making sure that my concealed carry is not exposed, and so they don't notice me.
Right.
So I'm trying to look invisible.
And
You
see the
know,
thing too that you also have to understand, not just you in particular, but I'm saying it to you, is that you
it's
have
talking
no
to the
duty.
audience,
Yeah, you have
right?
no duty. You have
Right.
no duty to do
I'm not a
anything.
sworn officer.
And a lot of times people think when they put a firearm on that they now just join the local police department or
Mm-mm.
they just,
Right.
they're under Her Majesty's care and they're now James Bond. And the things that we talk about, you will see things like this in elements when you have a good uh, coordinator for a movie. The agent will do the same thing that we're talking about now. The common man can do that on a regular basis, and you should,
Mm-hmm.
because in this day and age where we have not only threats, there you go, be a gray man
Being
at all
be a
times.
great
So
man at all times.
to
Yes,
be a
that's
gray
correct.
man, and the thing about it, just to explain that to people who don't know what a gray man is, that means somebody that when um, they say, "Who's the guy sitting right next to you?" Damn, there was a
I
guy
don't know.
sitting there. There was a guy.
Right.
I remember the guy sitting there, but you didn't have an outlandish,
He won't
fur coat
recognize his
on, or you didn't have a
clothes.
pimp hat on, and you
Right.
weren't wearing some
He won't know if
outlandish.
you're loud.
Right,
Right.
exactly. You
Nothing.
just there. You were
Dress
just
down.
yeah.
Don't wear a lot of fancy jewelry.
hmm If you look
This
at the two of us right now, you can see it.
right.
Both have subdued shirts on.
Right.
I wear this only because it's a Saber Team tactical pin. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
represent the company, but other
Right.
than that, that's the only thing that you can distinguish from this shirt.
Right.
My T-shirt is almost the same color, so it's like
Right.
all one shirt.
I
You know.
deliberately dress down.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? So I don't look, I don't want to look, what do you call those dudes? Snazzy. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to look snazzy.
Oh
I ain't
no,
got nobody out here to impress. You know what I'm
Snazzy
saying?
went out in 1947.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, that was in the
Oh, wait a
speakeasy in
minute.
Kingsbridge.
Dapper. Is it
Dapper. Oh,
Dapper? Dapper.
you go in the other direction. That's 32. You went
Oh
the wrong
no.
way. You
Uh,
went further back in
oh
time.
my God.
Let's just say Sharp.
Sharp.
Sharp is
Okay,
kind of
sharp,
contemporary.
sharp dressed man. That's from ZZ Top days,
That's
right?
right. And I'm sure some millennial will go, Sharp. What are you, an 80s kid? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when they were born, I
Sharp
was
as a
doing
tack.
more stuff than they were doing.
You
So
sound
I
like that
don't.
old commercial. We do more than you do at 8 o'clock.
Oh
Remember that
yeah.
old Army commercial?
Oh yeah. It was like, good morning, first sergeant. I knew a dude that tried that, man. First sergeant cussed him out, dude. That was
Hey,
so
dude,
funny.
that's a story for your show.
I know for the show.
Yeah.
um take it away because
Yeah, but
I know, yeah, because I
But
know
but
I'm
the,
gonna
the
get
but the
into
gray man,
what you're about to talk about.
and then as you talk about the lifestyle, because now it's a situation where this is what you're going to do on a regular basis. Whether you're dropping the kids off at school, where you're going to the grocery store, you start looking at. You don't have to like ogle people, or you just make a death stare. You just have to make a glance, and it has to
Hmm.
all fit in. You have to
And
take
usually,
all the picture. There was a thing where when I wanted to talk to you about when you brought it up earlier, New York City Police Department back in like 85 or 86, somewhere in there, they had this test, and that's what it was. They put these pictures on the wall
oh
and they
yeah,
flashed it, and
yeah,
then you had to write down, and they would ask you just what you said. What was the guy standing underneath
right,
the doorway? And then they said, "What's the address to the doorway?" And I'm
right.
like, "Whoa,"
We
like, and you got 15 seconds or maybe 30 seconds to
right,
peruse this thing, and then it was
right.
gone, and you had to answer those questions.
We did something that was called Kim. It's called a Kim's Games,
hmm
and we set a whole bunch of stuff on a punch liner, and you had 2 minutes to look at the poncho liner and describe everything you saw. You can write down, you can take many notes,
Mm-hmm.
and when then they'll cover it back up after the 2 minutes. They said, all right, what did you see? And you said you saw a pencil, and they said, okay, what direction was the pencil facing? How sharp was the lead on the pencil? Who made the pencil? Was how long was the pencil?
Mm.
Was the eraser used? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, did you see all that detail in that 2 minutes time? But you have to train yourself to see all those details in that 2 minutes time. And you can do it if you train yourself.
Right. There was two things I was trying to look up real quick. One, what's my man's name? Dave Grossman does a real good job on a couple of his books in reference to that mindset. And then the other one, man, maybe I'll just describe it and I'll come back. Is two guys that were in the Marine Corps and they came back from I think Desert Storm and they started to teach guys how to observe and spot like potential terrorists basically. I mean they're in their
Mm-hmm.
own country, but the danger or people who are about to strike. And I read the book and of course I can't think of it right now because I'm on the spot. But it's a really good book because it tells you stuff like when somebody's staring at you for a particular period of time, and if you make eye contact and they avert their eyes, that's somebody you should watch.
Right.
If somebody's sitting in a car and there also don't be a creature. Oh my goodness, yes,
Yeah. Change your
yes,
daily routine. Don't be repetitive. Yep.
yep, absolutely,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Right.
Um, speaking to it, the comment just now, uh, I take my son to karate, and my wife came with me a couple times, and we were driving, and I'm driving her to we're going to karate, and she mentioned, we go one way to karate and another way we come home. I never take the same route, the same way,
Mm-hmm.
just because I ain't nobody that somebody would come after me for, right? But what about if I piss somebody off, and then I was going down road A to get to the spot, and they saw me, I cut him off. In his estimation, I cut him
Right.
off,
He just wait
and he
for you to
waits
come
for me.
back.
And
Right. He
my here,
ambush you.
here comes
Right.
Happy Al coming back the opposite direction, and he's like,
Right.
"That's the dude I was talking about."
Right.
So with situations like that, especially right now where people are so tense in their cars, so tense, I go the other way. I make a big loop, a big
Mm-hmm.
circle. I go out this way, get to that point, and then I come back around this way. And
Right.
and she mentioned it, and I explained it to her. You should do the same thing. I said it's available to us, and it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much the same amount of time. And even if it took longer, I'd still do it.
Right.
Never want to do the same thing out and back. Just me.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
Right.
Even when I was a police officer, I would do the same things. I go home this way sometimes. I go home the north way sometimes. I go the roundabout way sometimes. Never did the same thing because once you start doing that, you get some guy that's they just pick you. It was
Mm-hmm.
one of these gangs back in the day. They had an initiation, and they would drive the initiate in the back seat of the car, and then they would just randomly pick somebody, and they told him to go out there and kick his ass. Just
Mm.
go get him. And it was just pick him, and it was like a
Right.
game they would play afterwards, where they
Right.
just randomly pick somebody just minding their own damn business, didn't do nothing to
Mm.
them. And that's the thing that you have to be aware of. That you could do everything right. You could be minding your business. You could be moving along. The subway situation that happened in New York City just what 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Exactly that. People on the train minding their damn business, and a maniac gets on the train, and starts shooting people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
And
like
nobody.
you mentioned, and we both know, there's no gunfighting time to
No.
practice.
No. No.
You
It's
know,
it's
we
just
we we
yeah.
practice as fast as we can go, but there's no 2 seconds at 3 yards. That's some
Right.
police
Yeah.
qualification thing.
Right.
There's no real quantifying way to say what how fast your gunfight's gonna be.
Because first thing that's going to happen is your hearing is going to go because you're in a close quarter. So you're gonna that's the first thing that's going to go. Then your adrenaline's going to start pumping. Now you're going to go into um, uh, tunnel vision
Hmm. And
because
the whole
now
thing is like an auditory block.
right,
Everything after that just decreases.
right, because your mind is trying to figure out what's going on in
Hmm.
relation to what your body is not hearing.
Right.
You know, and so you're going to have to fight through that and figure out immediately, real quick, what to do.
And imagine
You
all
know,
those people who've never been in a stressful situation.
right, right,
You see the panic. One thing I tell you right now, and I'll tell you forever, never panic. Once you panic, you're done.
yeah,
Once you panic. Now, Panic can help if you turn into a panic and you go into some kind of rage and there's
You
five
got
dudes and you got to kick five guys' asses. That's one
that's
thing.
called that's called berserk. You got to go
Right.
berserk.
But that's
Yeah,
when you beyond way beyond panic. But my
yeah.
thing is I see people panic and they just start screaming and hollering. Come on, we
Don't
see it in the
move.
movies all the time, and
That
movies are for entertainment, but
that
still,
falls into the mindset of you'll say you was gonna talk about it.
the victim,
Yeah,
the victim mindset, yeah,
right,
and that's it. The victim mindset is the person who immediately is going to look for somebody else to come save them, and
right,
that's what we're seeing in this day and age. We don't have enough police officers, as we already said. We don't have enough police officers. So everybody have a bodyguard standing behind them,
right.
or somebody on call. That something happens right now, he's gonna be here within 2 minutes. Not gonna have that. On
You
best case scenario, it's still 3 minutes. Three
right.
minutes.
You
That's
have
that's a professional round in boxing.
well 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah,
Three
you're
minutes.
you're done.
Yeah.
You're done in 3 minutes.
Imagine if it's
Yeah,
multiple adversaries.
yeah, and then getting on the phone and trying to describe where you are because
Hmm.
you're probably not going to be at home.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have an address. You're not going to
Hmm.
know where you are. So that 3 minutes is getting ready to turn in seven.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and so whatever's happening to you is going to happen. So you have to get out of that victim mindset and start to preserve your life.
Hmm.
That
And
means
one of the words I like to use, and I heard it. Leo Hathaway. Got to give a shout out to Leo. Leo Hathaway is the first time I actually heard this. I've been a police officer for 24 years at that time, and I
mhm,
met this guy, and he said prevail, and I was like, wow. And then I had to go look the word up again. I know what the word prevail means, but in the context that he was using it, it was you have to prevail
mhm,
in a situation. And I took that, even though it was a law enforcement environment, I took that away to incorporate it when I deal with civilians, or the regular folks. You have to have that mindset, not just to win, not just to survive, but to prevail. If you have to dominate somebody, then you dominate them. If you have to bite them, then you bite them. If you got to do whatever it takes, there are no rules. There's no Mills Lane. There's no referee. There's no judges. They're going to come out at the end of the incident and say, okay, I'll give Al 6 points for that last fight, and I give this guy 3 points. No, it's not, nobody's going to judge that. It's
right,
all on you, and there's nobody coming.
right.
If you get the mindset that nobody's coming and you got to do this for yourself and your family, then you are going in the right direction. If
Yeah,
you
but
think that
most
all I got
people
to do is
can't
for
do that.
3 minutes and then right, and if all
Yeah,
I got to do is just hang in there for 3 minutes and I can hear the sirens coming and there are no sirens, because now
right.
you're going to start having delusions that they're on their way. Mm-mm. You got to
Yeah,
think of, you got to do this for yourself.
you got to go berserk.
Yeah.
You have to go berserk. Basically, just lose your mind in a controlled. You have to go crazy,
You
but be
talking about
controlled
chaos?
crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
chaos.
Yeah.
That's chaos. You
That's
got to bring
chaos.
chaos.
You got to.
Control chaos. And if you know how to
Mhm.
bring control chaos, and it takes training to bring control chaos out, because once some of us, I mean, some people, when they turn it on, they won't be able to turn it off. So, so you, it takes training to shut it down.
Right, and
Uh,
that's what our buddy Rick. I like what he's doing with taking jujitsu, even though he's at the
he's learning to
wiser
control chaos.
age. But that
Right.
that physical contact. When I was taking jujitsu, I took jujitsu, judo, boxing. That physical contact, being hit and having another human being strategize against you, you can't beat that. You can't beat
Right.
that. As far as tactical training, if you look up the word tactical, it basically is being able to move in a
hmm
coordinated effort. So boxing, jujitsu, if you compete, judo, if you compete, those things are what allow you to strategize and basically play chess in a 3D format, where this guy does this and then you got to figure out a way to get that. He's got an
Counter
arm
it.
trap.
Right.
Counter. You
And
got to
it's
figure out a
yeah, it's
counter.
gonna come automatic after a
Mhm.
while because
Yeah.
you're gonna have that mindset and that training.
And it
Right.
also helps because when you engage with another human being, it is an odd feeling, especially if it's like your first time, because that's a human body moving. It's not just a dummy. It's
Right.
not something you can just put anywhere you want. You push to the right, he pushes back to his left. Now you got a standoff.
Right.
Now what do? Now you got to
Right.
find a way to get leverage. You get lower. If we're talking about boxing, you got somebody you sticking a jab in your face all the time. You can't see the damn thing. You got to move around. You got to move. So you see that
Right.
jab coming, and you got to slide that jab and come up. Do something else. And those are the things that happen when you are involved with combative sports. Yeah, 'cause sports, combative sports or combative training. If you don't do that and it's your first time, you get punched in the face, dude, and your eyes
It's
start
gonna be
crawling,
shocked. You're gonna be like, "What?" And you're gonna be sitting around
snotty nose.
You're gonna be holding
Yep,
your eye, and the whole time they're
exactly.
gonna be wailing on you.
Hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, I used to wrestle in all the way up to high school. So
Hmm.
yeah, then we did a little monkeying around after that in my later days, but
Right.
yeah, but I don't like it. I don't like grappling with people. It's just
No,
yeah,
if it's controlled, yeah. But when it's on the street, I'm not grabbing nobody. If and
yeah.
I got a few old moves that I still do. I
I,
try them out every once in a while. I come up behind you. I'm gonna grab you and suplex you, and that's it. That's all.
yeah,
Only
I
grabbing
always
I'm doing.
yeah, because I learned you don't know a person's physical strength until they interlock with you, and once they grab you, you're like, oh, that dude
Well,
might be stronger than you.
I want to wait till Rick gets a few more weeks under his belt, and then I'm gonna meet up with him, and I'm gonna show him. See what I do is I
That's
took
messed
what
up.
I learned on the mat, and then I bring it out to
The
practically.
street,
Because a lot of stuff you can't do because there's no mat, and you can hurt
right,
yourself and hurt. I want to hurt him, but I don't want
right.
to hurt myself. But there's certain things that I do that I took from that the judo grappling days, and that I still do now. And every once in a while, I'll try it just like three parts of it just to see if it still works. And it's almost every time it works because the person's not really paying attention, and you get them, and I wind up on their back every time, and then I could do whatever else I want to do after that. But I just make sure that I can just get that, and I do it on unsuspected people. I haven't done
Oh,
it on
okay.
you yet because we're always on gravel and stuff, and it's like
Right, I ain't
I
type
fall
time.
and you fall, and
Yeah, I ain't got
we
time
both
for
be
all that stuff.
unhappy.
You end up breaking the hip.
Exactly. Like,
Got to call 911.
right,
Al,
exactly.
Al, then broke a hip.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have to find somebody to substitute for me this week.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, you want to talk about the other part of the mindset? You said the victim. Now the one where you got to fight.
Right,
The fight
and
flight.
the way it's broken down sometimes is um, you're gonna do three things in an event of a critical incident. You're gonna flee, you're gonna fight, or you're gonna freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Fleeing and freezing are not cowardly acts. They're natural responses for the untrained person. The person that fights is usually a person that's been trained. And now it hits the fan and everything kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
So just to go back a little bit, my first ever being assaulted while wearing a uniform, I'll tell you factually, it took about 5 seconds before I realized what happened.
Huh.
Real quick, guy walks by me. He was upset about some officers telling him that he couldn't do a certain thing, and he was walking to his house, and we were standing in front of the like a walkway, and he came by and he intentionally gave me like a little shiver, and it hit me, and I was working with another squad. This wasn't my guys; it was some other guys that I was assigned to for like a special event. I said, he just hit me. And I don't know if you ever seen the Lawrence Taylor move what he did on Joe Theismann, but I reached my big paw around his front of his shirt, and this is his back to me, and I launched him back to me, and it was on because he was mad, and I stepped off to the side. This is where he lives. It's cool going out, going home, man. Get,
Oh, and he
less people.
elbowed you as he
He
passed.
elbowed me intentionally, and it hit me like right here, and
Right.
it dawned on me, and it was like. It was the first time I've ever been assaulted as a police in uniform. And it was like, oh yeah, ding 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 ding. And then his response was, man, I already hit you. Because it was about 5 seconds. That don't
He
matter.
admitted that?
Oh yeah, he said, I already hit you. What are you doing? He was upset because again, it was like about I'll give it a 7-second delay. I'm not that fast. I'm on a 286 processor.
Right. Went from
You only
5 seconds to
50
7
people, right?
seconds.
So
Now you guys picture it and listen. Here we
it
see.
was it was some time that went by. Can I say that, Joanna? It was some time that went by. And it
Yeah.
was like, wait a minute, he can't do that to me. And
Right.
that's when it kicked in. But what I say that
Did you
is
guys brawl after that, or did he give up?
oh, he gave up quick, dude. I told you, I slammed him on his head. That's what I said.
Oh, okay.
I grabbed him from the rear.
You
Like
do
I
a
was
you do
trying
a
to
foot
kill him.
sweep, and when you grabbed him,
I lifted him over me like this.
oh, you didn't even do a foot sweep. You just
I
grabbed him and
grabbed him
lifted him.
here, right? This is
Yeah.
him right here. And then I turned. And
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah,
oh,
you
yeah.
did an over the shoulder throw.
Right. I was about
Yeah.
24,
He was
25 years
backwards,
old back then.
so his
Right?
head he went head first.
Oh, he was unconscious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I splattered. It was a splat when he hit
So
me.
what did everybody else say when
The other officers stared at me and said, "What the hell did you do?" I said, "He hit me." Oh, yeah, you're right. He did hit you. It was like,
oh, they
they,
saw it.
yeah, they saw it, but it was because I took so long to respond. They thought that I
Right,
wasn't going to do anything. And that's
right.
what he thought. Like, I have been hit you. And when he woke up and he said, "Man, I had already hit you. He was almost in his house." That's when I got him.
Oh my God.
Yes, he walked past
Oh
us. We were
God.
standing in front of us. It was like
Right,
a community day. And
right.
him and his boy was hanging out of a sky roof
So
on a
so
car.
he expected you to lunge after him right after you hit him.
Yes, or
Yeah,
he probably thought he punked me because I didn't do nothing. I
right,
didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm slow. I told him like 286
right.
license there. I'm like
And
one
you
of those
arrested him
Atari 52s.
for assaulting an officer.
Absolutely. And then I
Yeah.
charged him with the stupid stuff that he did in the street. He was sitting on top of a car with the sunroof open, like he was the mayor of the town.
Oh yeah, you can't do that.
And he came through and it was reckless. So he
Yeah.
came through and he was driving it, and his partner was in the car, and a cousin, whoever it was with him. They were driving and they were making a spectacle. And that's when the officers went up and said, "Hey man, you can't do that." So then he parked his car in the middle of the street, just got out, and I live here. Come on, man, park your car on the side. And this is a community policing event. Community
Right.
policing. We came in to shake hands and give out lollipops.
Right.
And this guy's doing this. And
Right.
then he bumps into me. And of course, I gotta ruin the party because
That had to be something to see, boy.
oh dude, he was about 6'3", 6'4". He was
Yeah.
taller than me. So that's
Right.
what made it even better, because when I reached on him like this, I was like, oh damn. And he was on the stairs. He had stepped up,
And that helped out. That helped.
me.
It
And then
helped
I
you.
turned, and then I did this, and then
Right.
I just dropped. I didn't even do the.
Did
fall,
he
just
didn't
dropped.
scream, he didn't say
Oh,
nothing
dude,
going
it was
down.
so fast.
Right. Lights
Oh,
out.
yeah. Yep.
Right.
And when we got to the station, he told me that he had already hit me. Like that was,
But
and I mind you, I took him to the hospital. Just you can look up the report. I took him to the hospital, make sure he was okay. They did the brain scan and all kind of stuff on him. Oh yeah, he's a big dude, man. And I was back then. I was
he
like
apologized.
15. Nah, he was upset, but he was like, his whole thing was he can't believe that I locked him up for that. I told him, you can't touch a police officer. You can't
Right.
you can't touch anybody.
Right.
In the state of Maryland, it's unwanted touch is an assault. Unwanted.
Right.
So that means if I do like this and you didn't want it, I technically assaulted you.
Was that a misdemeanor or felony?
It's a misdemeanor.
It's a misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. That's funny.
Yeah, but it was one of those deals with that was the flee, the flight, and the fight.
All went into play, and
Yes.
it took some time for you to
Yeah,
register every single thing,
It
the
was
process.
processing, like
Right.
oh, and like I said, my computer, the squirrels had to get together and run in unison to get a little
Right.
faster.
Right.
And it was like, oh, go get him.
Right. Right.
So, and that happens in reality with people who, especially people who've never trained before or don't have any training. Something happens and it's on the reverse. To give you another one, what we're seeing here in Georgia, and particularly Atlanta, people getting offended by words.
Yes.
Out come the guns.
Right.
People getting offended by a slight action that's technically or really a mistake. Somebody still back in the days in California and New York, people stepping on each other's toes and getting shot or punched in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
the same here with in Georgia, not just words, but road rage, driving.
Yep.
You cut somebody off and somebody go nuts and pull out a gun and try to shoot you. Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And that's because there's so many untrained people. And mind you, we're in the training business and we want people to go train. We want people to come train with us. Come train with us. We want you to do that. But at the same time, even if you don't take official classes, learn the law, watch YouTube. There's plenty of good guys on YouTube that are giving out good information.
Right.
Take a class with somebody that's reputable. National people go all over the country in different cities, different states, and they give courses. Find one of them. I mean,
Right.
I don't
But
promote
people,
all these official groups, but
I don't understand.
yeah.
They spend some of these people spend $700 on a gun,
Hmm.
and then when it comes to training, oh no, let me go back. They spend $700 on a gun, another $500-600 on ammunition, another $500-600 in gear, and never take a class.
Never.
Then talking about I'm ready to do whatever,
Hmm. Those
you
same
know.
dudes do a lot, and there's a lot of guys that
But they're buying all their tactical gear on Amazon.
right, or wish.com.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and that's the thing is like if you look at it, you have to understand the parameters of what you're involved in, so that when something happens, you can immediately act. You have to act. You have to take an action.
It's
One of those
it's
three. Go ahead. One of
I
those
was gonna
three
say
is
it should be. I know the word you're trying to look for. It should be. Oh, I had it and I just forgot it. Muscle memory.
yeah. You know I don't like that word.
I know
It's actually a phrase. It's two words.
what.
I don't like that. There's
well,
only one muscle
you
with
got a
memory right here.
meat muscle.
Yeah, but there's only one muscle with memory, and it's the brain.
Right.
These things have elasticity,
Well, that's
and
what I'm talking about. Muscle memory is not a reflex. It's a cognitive
I talked
of
to a
thought.
doctor one time, and he told me that there is a slight muscle memory. It's not the way people describe it, but it's actually the flexibility of the muscle to rebound after you stop working out. After a while, when you go to work out again, your muscles get stronger faster, or
Okay.
they get tighter. He said, but as far as like memory, it's only right
Hmm.
here. It's
Right.
only right here. So you have to teach your brain to respond to the stimulus that's out there that you see. So one
And
of the
that.
things that Omar and I have started doing that, and that's one of the other instructors that train with us. One of the things we started doing is adding like weapons to our targets, because the stimulus that you see is just this
Paper.
right, no threat
Right.
whatsoever, and we blah 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 blah. Blah. And now you get somebody out on the street and they're unarmed. We're in our mind we're already doing that because
Right.
that's how we train. And the
Right.
funny thing is I've said this probably like 1996, 97. I was in charge of the firearms range of Prince George's County, and I brought that same thing up. I was telling guys because there were a bunch of cases and our targets did a turn, and when they turned there was just a silhouette with his arms down by his
Right.
side,
Yeah.
and it just
Yeah.
go blade away from me and turn back,
Right.
and it's just, where's the threat?
Right.
And then
There is no
we
threat.
had a couple instructors at the time that used to yell out gun or bat or knife, but
Right.
there was nothing there. And it was like
Right.
you're now conditioning these new officers to make believe they saw something because
Right.
they're drawing their gun and firing, and they heard an instructor say gun or they heard somebody say knife, and there's no knife downrange.
Only thing you got to do is just turn the lights out, make it dim, and yell out those same things on a
Oh
person with nothing in their
no!
hands, and
And
you
then
got a disaster.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's
And
that
that.
was just that, and that was one of those things back in that time that a lot of dudes were doing. They were yelling out "gun" and
Right.
Amadou
Threat.
Diallo.
Or the first
I
one.
think Amadou Diallo.
Threat. Threat.
Yeah, that's the worst. Threat, threat.
Don't
Where,
yell out that. Where is the
where,
threat?
where is it?
Yeah.
But
So and
the Amadou Diallo case in New York City, where they fired 41 rounds, it came out because one dude saw the deceased with his wallet like this,
and he
and he
thought it was
probably
a
was
gun.
like this.
Right.
And they asked him to give me the wallet, so he went to give him the wallet. And
And
then
it's,
guy, there was
somebody
one dude
yelled it was
standing
a
on this,
gun.
yep, standing
Yeah.
on a upcline of a staircase, and he
Hmm.
said gun, and they all, it was called a sympathetic nervous response system.
Yeah. They all
All
do what
one fired, and everybody else fired the
yeah,
same
they
thing.
go crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing that when you start working in groups and you start working on teams, you have to be able to think for yourself. You have to be
Right.
able to process what you see. So,
Just take that
fear,
take that millisecond and identify.
but
That's all
that
it does.
fear becomes a group effort,
Right.
and we're all nervous because it was a high risk area in the first place, and then somebody yells gun and pow. It's the same thing as happened in the past where gunfire was they thought it was gunfire and it was actually a backfire from a car. And then you have guys start shooting because they just knew that guy over there shot. Nobody saw any flash, nobody saw a gun, but they heard and they thought that was um, somebody firing on them. I think I'm by myself, so I'm not going to tap dance, but I will continue the
There you
play.
are.
There we go. You brought me back. I brought you back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, you see you flip sides, right?
I know. I'm gonna change it again. Let's see.
I'm
Okay, there we
there
go.
you go. Yep.
So we got full control here. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
You froze for a minute there. You know that, right?
you froze. I thought you froze.
No, I was still talking.
So it was something happened
That's
on, I
first
guess, on
time.
my end. That was the
Yeah.
first time. Okay.
Well, we write that in the journal.
Yeah. So we'll keep going.
Hey.
And
Yeah. Mhm.
so and speaking of guns, that I saw it goes to Georgia has been just became the 25th state
Mm.
has concealed carry law, and that concealed carry law is allowing um, non. Listen to what I'm going to say here, guys. Non-felon citizens to carry a firearm concealed. You have to have no felony convictions. You have to. The gun can't be hot. So it's the same as the people who have uh, um, weapons license. It's almost the same thing, except now you don't have to have a license. So if you can afford a firearm, and you was affording a firearm before, but now you can carry it concealed, not open. It's not an open carry, but it's a concealed carry. And the same rules fall under a licensed carry person with a firearm. If the police come up to you, they're not allowed to ask if you have a concealed carry firearm, not unless you're going into a metal detector,
Prohibited. Yep.
yeah,
Prohibited location.
prohibited or metal detector venue.
Mhm.
And then only thing they should do is ask you to leave. If you don't leave, you're going to get hit with charges. And also, too, if you're stopped by a police officer, you do not have to disclose you have a firearm on you unless that police officer is going to ask you to step out of the vehicle. That would be the wise thing to do.
But
It-
still
it-
not. It's still not your responsibility.
It's still no, it's not your responsibility to inform them, right? Because we are protected here in the state that we do not have to inform them of that. But if it does come up, don't lie about it. Just be open about it and just tell them. And a lot of people are getting confused about this law. They're thinking that felons can go to the gun store and buy a firearm and fill out a 4473. I wouldn't do that if I was you as a felon, because what's going to happen, that 4473 is going to be emailed to ATF, and they're going to come knocking on your door while you try to purchase that firearm. Anything you want to do? Also, Omar, he was like, he laughed. He got good recovery either way. So,
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro.
yeah, thanks. And he did a little laugh. I'll blame it on Aldo. Anything you want to add on that?
No,
Yeah.
no, I appreciate it. I mean, as many people are saying, instead of saying thank you, they're saying long time coming, and it is.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's here now, and it's half the country. Half the country.
Half the country has, yeah,
is-
25 states.
yeah,
How many states in the United States, guys? Think about it. That's half the
almost
country.
That's
That's half the country.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a very positive thing. So a lot of people who don't understand the law is talking about
Wild
Wild West. The Wild West is already here.
Right.
And
think about it. What we just spoke about, maybe let me see, about 20 minutes ago, we were talking about there are not enough police officers for everybody to have their own police officer. So in that case, you need to be able to protect yourself. Exactly.
it's a good balance.
It's
Right.
needed. It's needed at this point. If you don't have an officer that's going to be in your house 24/7.
We got somebody calling in. Hold on, I don't know what line it's on. Hold on.
Wayman Gaines.
Hey, Wayman.
To accept, press 1.
Hold
to
on.
send a voicemail, press 2.
All right. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you fine. We both hear you.
Hey, yeah, I call in, guys. I really love your show.
Thank you.
Yeah, really love your show. But I want to touch on 2 issues. One, the concealed carry law.
You got to turn the audio
I was
off in the
recently-
background because you're getting feedback.
How's that?
Yeah,
How's
go.
this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect.
Yeah, I want to touch with you guys on 2 subjects. You know, I work in the industry.
Right.
With the new carry law, I'm seeing a lot of people coming in thinking that, okay, hey, I want to buy a gun. And when it comes time to do the 4473, they say, well, you know, we have to do a background check because you don't have a concealed carry license.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go, well, you know, we got concealed carry. We have constitutional carry here in Georgia. You know, why do I have to do a background check? Well, the law is, you know, if you don't have a concealed carry license, we still have to run a background check on you.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had some really big arguments over that. They just don't understand it.
Very
Wow.
much so.
You know, I was at a different location today. Same situation. A guy comes in with a lady friend trying to buy a handgun. And they said, well, you have to fill out this 4473. He does. And he answered the yes to the question, were you a convicted felon?
Oh, no.
Done.
And they asked him, you know, were you a convicted felon? And he said, yes, I was. I spent 3 years in prison.
Damn.
And then they told him, said, hey, you know, we can't sell you a gun, sir.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, why? You know, I did that happen 10 years ago. That should be off my record by now. And they're like, listen, no, sir. You know, you're a convicted felon. We cannot sell you a gun. The only way we can is you get a judge to expunge your record, you know,
Well, you,
and it's okay for you to buy it.
you heard the word he said he used. He said was.
Right.
So he
Was, exactly.
He thought was. He didn't realize it's permanent. Yeah.
Until you get
Okay, now,
paperwork, excuse me, that says that you
Get to the mic, Al. Get to the mic.
Until you say that until you get something that says your right to reinstate it, you're still a felon.
exactly.
Ex-con.
Well, he had a lady friend with him, and then he goes, okay, well, she'll buy the gun.
No.
And they were like, no.
Mm-mm.
He goes, well, she's going to buy it. She goes, no, because she came in with you. You looked at the gun. You picked the gun out. You know, now that you find out you can't legally purchase it, you're going to put her, you know, under the bus by making her, you know, do a straw purchase.
Right.
You go
You
from
know,
a
and he
denied to a
gets all
straw
up.
purchase.
Right.
Exactly. And the guy got all pissed off, and he was, you know, cussing them out. They said, listen, you know, there's actually a patrol car sitting out front in the front door.
Right.
You know, we can go and ask the officer to come inside. He, you know, after everybody, and he walked out. Funny part is when he walked, by the time he walked out, there was 2 more units out there.
Oh, somebody called him.
You know, I don't know if they did or didn't, but 2 other units pulled up, and they just looked at him. He slid in his car and he drove out the parking lot. Yeah.
Oh my
wow.
God.
Yeah.
What is
That's
wrong
crazy.
with people?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
a lot of
because-
it back to your original comment, sort of question. I think what's happening is a lot of people are listening to the streets and not getting the law from the
Exactly.
books, and
Yeah.
those
Exactly.
people are afraid. And on the opposite side, others think it's really wide open. Just go get your gun. You want
I
to go
think-
get a gun? Go get a gun.
I think they're doing this deliberately. I think people are actually giving out false information so they can go out, so felons can go out and buy firearms and get caught, commit a crime,
From an
do
FFL,
whatever.
a felon can't buy a firearm from a FFL.
No, they cannot, but they're trying to see. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do. I
what the
think
caller
I
said
think it's
Okay.
intentional.
it's never going to happen.
Here's the other.
Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. In the industry right now, the ATF is going after all gun stores. And what they're doing is, if you make one mistake on a 4473, they shut you down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, recently here in Georgia, a gun store, they made a mistake. The person that wrote the serial number down didn't put the letters on, but put the numbers down. They pulled and looked through, they found it. On this 14473, they shut them down. They shut them out completely.
Wow.
They took the FFL and they said, that's it.
Oh,
so
they completely took it. So
yeah, they shut them completely down. Took the FFL.
So how they can't even move none of the merchandise? None of it.
No, that's it. None of it. No, not.
I mean, they can't even get their money back, even because the distributor might not even take them back.
Exactly. And the next day, when a manager drove up to the store, they were parked up in front of the door.
Wow.
Is that from multiple violations, or is that just
that's the new?
No, it was one.
Yeah,
one. They came in out of the blue.
Like previously,
did
that establishment ever have any other issues with the ATF?
No, none.
Wow,
none whatsoever. They're a member. There is a group of gun store owners. Okay. And they're in a buying group, and they get together and they talk business as well as politics. Well, this was one of the members, and they got shut down forever, ever, amen, because a employee made one mistake on the serial number of one gun on a 4473. It had no other violations whatsoever. They've been audited before in the past. Everything was fine. But this is part of this new Biden ATF we can't go after the gun.
Yep.
Right. This goes into the new thing.
Yeah.
New gun control laws they're trying to instill. Right.
Yep.
So what a lot of people, gun stores are doing now is a minimum of 3 people check the 4473 and sign off on it.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. One of the watchers that on right now, Omar, he's in the industry as well, and he says the same thing all the time when I'm talking to him.
He said
things going on.
Yeah, he said I have denied every day, and people are arguing it every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they argue.
Yeah, I don't understand the argue because you're walking in with a guilty conscience, so it's like
But what gets me is when they throw the race card down.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The only reason you're not selling me a gun is because I'm black.
Right.
No, I mean, it's the
when
law.
all else fails, there's that. But on the same note, with this misinformation in reference to this bill and now law, a lot of people have always listened to the street. So I've heard people who've taken classes that are people who are, you think there's a step above when somebody reaches out and say, you know what, let me go take a class and get educated and learn how to firearm and all the rules, yada yada. Then that person says, yeah, so if I draw my gun, I gotta shoot him, right? Hell no. Like, no. And I always like to make sure that there's at least another student. And sometimes when I'm doing privates, I have to be emphatic, like, do not. No, this is not Tokyo.
Don't even put your hand on it. Don't even put your hand on it. Yeah.
But with it, like for example, somebody is a threat. They have a knife in their hand.
That's a different story.
And the person drops the knife. You can't shoot him anymore.
No.
That's what I'm talking about. So
okay.
The person is saying, if I draw my gun, I gotta shoot him? No. And this has been kind of ingrained in them. And I'm telling you, if I'm doing a one-on-one, we stop and we're gonna talk about that for the next 10 minutes because it's like no. But that's what they've come up with, whether they were younger or
so their mindset is, I bought this, I'm going to use it.
Yep.
Regardless.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's a bad situation.
One other thing I want to touch with you guys, it's actually going national now, national news.
Mm-hmm.
Lock, stock, and barrel, the gun range down in Coweta County, Georgia.
Yes.
Mhm.
The owner, his wife, and their grandson were murdered in the store.
Mm-hmm.
Over 40 guns were stolen.
Right.
Whoever did it, or what party ever did it, stole the closed circuit TV, the
They knew what they were doing.
surveillance equipment. Exactly.
Yeah. We think it,
Now I know what.
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna
Well,
say
I know where that.
no. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I know where that place is. And
Okay.
it's a combination of an indoor gun range and an outdoor gun range. But it's so far down off the beaten path in the sticks. If you really didn't know where it was, you'd drive by it. So, but in the industry right now, and I've been in 2 meetings about this. These places, a lot of times, they think they know everybody, everything's cool, and or in the situation I'm in, where everybody in the store almost is packing a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
They get in this complacency that, okay, well, nobody in their right mind would ever come in here and try to do something.
Right.
And in the meeting, I said, that is where everybody is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because they come in the store, they shop, but they're scouting the places out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was telling you about being the gray man, not taking the same routes to and from,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, listen, you shouldn't even be parking in the same parking space in the parking lot all the time.
Right.
You never know who's watching.
Right. Or somebody
You
who
know,
would
just-
come in there and to befriend you just to get an up
Exactly.
and up, right, on your layout or what you're
Exactly.
doing. Yeah. And that's why I think that
Exactly.
happened in that gun store down in Coweta. I think somebody befriended them, and they knew that person very well and trusted them. And
Exactly.
when that person had sinister ideals of what they was
That was
planning
my
on doing.
first thought when the young person was killed. It was the first thought was obviously whoever it was that did it they knew him. And
Yes, they didn't want no
Didn't want
witnesses.
any witnesses.
No witnesses,
right?
none. Yeah, and they took the tapes.
But,
They knew the tape was, and that's
That
key.
tells you somebody's been there before.
Right.
And
And
either
they
that or
Right.
we don't know the full story yet, but either that or they got the tape prior to the murdering.
Right, and most stores should automatically have a set tape and a hidden tape, a hidden area
Exactly.
that that
But
nobody
sometimes
knows
when
about.
you get like mom and pop shops like that that've been around since the 80s and even further.
They don't understand that.
They haven't updated. They still got a cassette tape.
Yeah,
Pops out of there.
a VHS.
And that's
Yeah, I was in a meeting at another range this morning. It's a range that I do frequently. I do shoot at. I know all the guys in there. They know me.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of the biggest conversations that we had. And they invited me to sit in on one of their meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, guys, like in the meeting I was in the other day, the problem is everybody gets in this complacency that thinks because we are armed in here, or we have an AR behind the counter or a shotgun, nobody in their right mind is going to come and try to do something. And I said, that is when it's going to happen.
Right.
And I said, I know what you guys do. This particular one, they're pretty smart because a lot of different police departments and sheriff's departments go in there and train.
Mm-hmm.
Almost any time you do go up there, you will see, you know what an unmarked car looks like. You'll see 2 or 3, or you'll see some patrol cars parked out front.
Right.
Well, on a weekend, they're very, very, very busy, and it's mostly, civilian people in their training.
Right.
And what they do is when they come in the morning, no less than 3 are there when they open the door. 2 stand there with guns drawn.
Okay.
When they close, it's the same situation. When they walk out the door, two are standing there with long guns, while the other turns around, locks up the door, draws down the gate, the whole bit. And if anybody's sitting out there watching, they know, no, wait a minute, I got to go through 3 guys.
Right.
2 weapons drawn, and one, he's loaded for bear also.
But they're setting a pattern. They're setting a pattern. And it's the same thing
True.
we think when people won't rob armored cars. Once they get to know the
Right.
layout of that armored car, what they're doing, they will get the jump on them and rob them.
Yeah.
So
And
once
they
you
were
set
all
that
trying to
pattern,
come up with,
yeah,
right. They were all coming up with ideas of what they should do in the future.
Right.
You know, they don't want something like that to happen in their gun range, their gun store.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing y'all were talking about before. Look, situational awareness.
Yeah.
Everybody that comes in and out,
Well,
when you're out in the street, don't wear anything that says you work at this range.
if it's
You know,
a gun store, shooting range. If it's shooting range, guns come in. If it's a gun store, I would
right?
like, I don't know. You just have to say, no guns coming in the store, or nothing coming in your hands, and you're
Well,
gonna have. I would have to have a camera watching everybody's face to come in that store. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And
There's a
Well,
range that I used to
one
go
one
to
good thing
back in
about
the
this
day,
place,
and one of the things that they did was no guns loaded at all. This is the state
yeah,
of Maryland, and we hated that, but it
and I
was
would,
for their safety. They didn't give a damn if you, unless you
and
were on duty police officer from that county, you couldn't go in there with a loaded gun.
and I would tell people don't come in with masks on because now I want you to be
exactly.
seen with
Hmm.
forget COVID. I mean, COVID. Who cares about that? I mean, let that camera see your face. And because you
Well,
come
that's
in
one
with
thing
that,
they did.
hmm,
That's one thing they did.
they stopped
Anybody
it.
walks up and they have a camera on the front door, so as soon as you walk in the door, they see you.
Right.
Before you can walk around the breezeway into the main showroom area up to the counter, they tell you, "Hey, ma'am or sir, you can't come in there with a mask on."
Good.
Right.
You
Good.
know, when they argue with COVID, it's no, we don't care. You don't come in here with a mask on or a hoodie.
Right.
That's another thing. They don't allow no hoodie. No.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this place has got great surveillance. I know
Right.
for a fact.
Right.
But there again, their biggest concern is that somebody will come in the door blasting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because they know everybody. You get
It
there's a
has
report around that a lot of gangs are looking at stores like this and will come in 3 or 4 at a time and maybe go to blasting
right.
just to see what they can steal.
Right. And it has
So
happened before where somebody has done that before and came in blasting. I think it was here in either Georgia or Texas. I can't remember where.
it happened up in Kennesaw, Georgia. I know that for a fact.
Right.
It's also
A guy
the same
came
thing
in,
when
2 guys came in.
they ran the
Mhm.
cars right through the window after hours. A lot of times
Right.
the facility during open hours is hard. It's hard, and they got guys in there willing to go to battle. So these guys recognize that, so they come back and they drive a truck through the side of the wall, or they drive it through the front glass windows, even with those stanchions in front of it to try to prevent somebody from doing that. They get a bigger truck, or they hit
Yeah.
it 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
They'll find a way to get in there.
But that's going in at night. These guys are, I mean, they've gotten more bolder where they
Mhm.
coming in during the
Well, that's what
day.
I said. I said because when they go do the surveillance during the daytime, they see how hard the place is to get in there. You
Oh,
got
yeah,
guys
hard
standing at the
target.
front door,
Right.
two
So,
guys with guns in their hand. You got another dude with a rifle, and ain't nobody want to play with that. These guys,
yeah.
they're not stupid. They're
Right.
just desperate, or they make dumb mistakes, but they're not
Right.
stupid.
But then they want to go in and terminate everybody in there. That's
Yeah,
over
because at that
merchandise.
point,
That's silly.
I don't know what we still have the jury still out, or the evidence and the investigation still on in Coweta, but there's more to it. It's like you killed a kid, bro,
Yeah.
for
Oh, yeah.
40 guns,
Yeah.
and that's a high level of depravity.
Yeah. But it goes back into this thing. They using all this is to push gun control. What is the triggers they're going after? The binary triggers?
Yeah.
Binary triggers
Binary
they're going
trigger.
after.
And that other
Yeah,
one, what's the other one? What you got? Back in the 70s, you can actually buy.
what are you talking about?
The other one,
80%? 80% lower?
You drop it into the.
Oh, the Sears?
Yep, those ones.
The drop-in Sears? Yeah. Yeah. They're going after those too. Trying to
The
make
FRT, force reset trigger.
Mhm.
Drop in the auto sear. The auto
Right.
sear. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an auto sear. It's a 3-round burst sear, is it?
Back in the 70s, they made what's called DIAS, drop in auto sear. It was legal
Okay.
up until literally it was confusing
80
until the
to
90s.
87, right? Something like that.
87 is when you could buy a full M16.
You can buy full automatic Thompson
Right,
at that
but
time,
this
up to
was,
87.
The FFL license. You can, as long as you got it through a licensee, you can buy these up until like I would say the 90s. Legit, it started getting crazy in 2000s when they
Okay.
were trying to figure out what to do with this
Mm-hmm.
because all it does is keep the sear down, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to have in your AR-15 you have to, or in the AR-15 you have to have an M16 bolt, so the back piece has to be cut out. Underneath the bolt has to just be open. So
Right.
the-
So that's
the bullet
actually
can
running
stay
a machine gun.
right.
So what's
But you like my all right, I said mine.
no
But
no no
I
no
know that
names. No
Colts.
names.
I said I know that Colt has them. I don't know who has a Colt, but I know that
Right.
Colt has that on a lot of their rifles. That bolt is a full auto bolt.
Yeah, but as long as you don't have the trigger mechanism to it, it's not legal, not illegal.
See, now say what you just said and listen to what I said. And if we put those two together, we
Then
got
it
a
makes
full
it
automatic.
illegal.
Right. That's
Right.
what I'm saying.
But if
But
if you have one and not the other, it's not illegal.
right.
But they're
people are
trying to
putting
make
those
just
two
because if you
together.
possess one, they're trying to say if you possess one,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
illegal
yeah, 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 yeah.
totally.
Right.
Right.
That's what the new state is
Right.
because of the some incident that happened, and I believe it was a Glock. It wasn't even. See, this is here we go. I just put it together. It was a Glock that somebody made auto, right? But
Mhm.
yet they're calling for a ban on AR-15s.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Because there's not enough AR-15s being used
Right.
in that type of crime right now.
It
So
was. I
they're
believe it was in
using
California
yeah.
too. Yeah.
They're using it on any. There was a shooting that happened in Sacramento,
That's
and
it.
that was a gang related shooting,
Mhm.
and had nothing to do with
With real
anything. It was
people.
just two gangs going at it,
Mhm.
and they were using handguns, but it automatically went toward ARs.
Yep.
And so now they're looking at serializing the upper receiver
Mhm.
along with making it illegal for you to even buy parts to assemble
Exactly.
a AR.
Right.
That's what they're trying to do.
Remember
But-
the guy a few months ago who was selling the stencil of this drop-in piece, like
Yeah.
like a gimmick,
Right.
and the ATF jumped through his front door and said,
You serious?
"Ta-da!" Yeah, it's on YouTube.
They
I forgot
raided
the
him.
guy's name. They raided his. He's got a big following, big channel, and he was being funny. And he made these stencils, 3D stencils. And first it was a stencil, then he made this little clip piece, and it was like a little piece of plastic that he did with a 3D machine. And they said, "Nah, bro, we gotta talk to you. I'm gonna kill your dog too, by the way."
Oh, that was the guy that did.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what that was.
Mhm. 'Cause
Oh,
when ATF
okay.
show up, they don't play with dogs.
Right. They
Don't
shoot
have
him
no dogs
immediately
in
on
there.
sight.
Don't have
Even
no
if it's
dogs.
one of them little small
Because
dogs, they still
don't
shoot it.
matter. Ain't
Yeah.
nobody getting what's it called? Rabies from nobody. They shooting everybody.
Right.
Everything going around.
So one thing you gentlemen need to watch. Okay, now they're coming down on these 80% lowers,
Right.
and they're coming down on these printed lowers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read the new so-called final law, whatever heck he wants to call it, it also, and I spoke to you earlier about this, Alfonso. It also is they're determining that the upper is now going to be considered the firearm also, and it has to be serialized,
Right.
whether it's a barreled upper or just an upper.
Right.
Now, all of this is just a prelude because they're going to be going after complete kits to build
Right.
any type of firearm. So, the parts kits and parts that you buy to replace parts that's broken.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can't get the whole firearm in one swoop, they're going to go after every component that's needed to manufacture or make one.
Right.
So, we're going through a real bad time right now. Now, you've got some other organizations that are
We got at least 2
about to
more
sue
years
them
of
over
this.
all this.
Well, we got 2 more years of this, but they have to make what he's pushing into law. And if he can't push it into law, it'll never happen. So this is something that they're trying to push and get the get the House Democrats to push it into a bill. Then they got to go, pass to the Senate. I don't see it actually happening, but it's going to stir up enough threat where you're gonna have people panic buying you're going to have the industry raising prices, and it's just
Oh
going to
yeah, which is already happening.
it's already happening, and it's just gonna get
Yeah.
crazy for the average citizen. And if you guys are listening to this right now, you need to. I'm not saying go out and panic buy, but you need to go out and get what you need to get before it gets too unaffordable. You know, and that's exactly what they want, and that's why they're
Right.
putting this stuff out. And he's
Yep.
saying it because he wants it to be a supply and demand thing that's gonna panic everybody, and only the people with the money are gonna be able to afford it. You know.
And that's what they're pushing right now.
Mm-hmm.
That last part you said. If you look at other countries, quote unquote, civilized and first world countries, whatever other word that they use for us, our country, the same thing. They want us to be in line with that, where your firearms are kept in a separate location away from your home. That is not a self-defense situation. That is just marksmanship and hunting, and that's it. And it becomes an oddity. And if it's not an oddity, then what you wind up with is um, crazy prices, which we're seeing. We're never. I'm gonna tell both of you right now, and I know both of you, both of you really are in the industry. We're never gonna see $9 for a box of 50 rounds of 9mm again.
Mm-mm. No,
I'll tell you that right now.
No,
no.
At best, you might see 12, might see 13, but we'll never see $9 again. I look online and I see Tula and Brown Bear 9mm steel case ammo for $15. We're
Yeah,
never gonna see
yeah,
brass. Come on, man. We're never gonna see that again.
yeah.
And we're the three of us and people like us, even Omar, who's still I think still watching, even Omar, we're gonna be like those old guys at the barbershop talking about, I remember when 50 rounds was $9. And then somebody else will say, I bought 50 rounds for $6.75.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I bought it for $6.
yeah.
That's what
Right,
it's gonna be like. And that's
right,
where we
right.
are right now.
Or the day when
And the
you
major thing
or
that's happening right now is reloading equipment,
yeah,
especially primers now, have gotten so skyrocket high.
10 cents a
And
primer.
even though I work in the industry, I cannot purchase primers.
right.
And I refuse to pay this. Recently I've seen primers quadruple in price,
Yep.
and see
and I've seen some powder go up.
so that's all a part of the plan
Yep.
to
It's
clog the
our
whole
Yeah.
system, and the average citizen it won't be able to get anything. But see, they don't realize, and they fail to understand
Mhm.
that millions have been sold already, and people have bought
Exactly.
and stocked up and prepared for this day. And so that's something they don't understand, and they can't figure out how to stop that. But they're trying to stop it from going further. And what they want to do is to plan something where you cannot be grandfathered in at all. They want so you have to turn it in. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
but I don't see that happening. It has to go to a law. They
Gotta be
cannot.
lighting the fuse at that point, bro.
They'd be lighting the fuse. They
And even if it did go law, who's going to enforce it? Who
Exactly.
can enforce it?
yeah, nobody.
There's
So-
no way humanly possible it can be enforced.
No.
Hey, I
But
wanna
Unless you're
close
like a
with this
bunch of
part.
sheeple, like in Australia.
Right. But see,
You stand
time
in line to throw your stuff on the pile.
time is running out, and they only have a limited amount of time, and everybody understands this, even on both sides of the aisle. Everybody understands this. They have until November to get something passed and done. They know this. Once November hits and things go south, they will never have another chance like this ever again. And they know this.
Mhm.
It'll
Yep,
be
and they're gonna
all
take the
over.
shot.
They're going to
They're
take the
gonna
shot. So that's where they're taking the shot. So
Yep.
with the incident that happened in New York, okay, that's supposed to have been a white guy. Okay. But it turned out to be a racist black man. And
Uh-huh.
it messed up the whole narrative. So the next one they'll have will be a racist white guy. And so they can use that is to push their agenda a little bit farther, you know? So that's what it's all about. You know, just get ready for the next one because it's coming, you know?
I just
So-
started
Well,
conspiracy tapes because of what you just said about that guy in New York. I have been thinking about some stuff like that because I listened to a piece this morning and they said that he traveled to Ohio to buy this firearm, and
Mm-hmm.
then he used this firearm that he bought out of New York, because New York has such great laws and there's such upstanding people, and we're not gonna. And then the next phase of this commentary was he bought the gun in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So how the hell did he go to Ohio to buy the gun? The first piece made it sound like he went to Ohio last month and bought this gun. He's had this firearm for 11
For a
years.
long time. That's right.
And then he
Yeah.
decided. So he just turned nut job. He wasn't a nut
Oh
job.
no, he wasn't. He didn't
Yeah,
turn. No, he did
No,
not
but
just
what I'm
turn
saying,
nut.
yeah, nut job.
No,
enough to
no.
go kill
He's
somebody.
He's
Yeah,
been
he's been
put.
talking.
He's been talking, but he
Fuck
was
his teeth.
pushed over the edge because
Right.
the FBI had him on their radar. And if you
Mhm.
notice, everybody that does something like this is on their radar, have been talked to. It's like, well, if you talk to them and on their radar,
Mhm.
why are they not a part of your daily checks? You know what I'm saying?
Ultra.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, come on, man.
MK Ultra.
MK Ultra.
Yep. MK Ultra. But what I'm saying is, in reference to this guy, he's had this gun, but the narrative was he went to Ohio and bought the gun that he used. He bought
Right.
the gun in 2011.
Right.
He's had an illegal gun in New York for 11 years.
Right.
So back to what I said, those laws are not good. Those restrictive laws do nothing. Had that incident happened in Texas, Georgia, Florida, there would have been a lot less people shot.
Yes. Because there's been some people that wanted to, that would have
Did
the
you see the one
mindset
just
in the
recently in
Georgia
Israel?
concealed carry law, they would have
Just
protected
recently in
themselves.
Israel, same thing happened. A screwdriver wielding person. I'm not going to put any descriptors on it, but he starts stabbing people on the bus.
And was
Other
stopped.
citizens on the bus, boop, turns his lights out. See, I didn't even say
Right.
a word I wanted to say.
Right.
That's
Right.
for Twitch. You're welcome,
Right.
Twitch. Turned his lights out. And those were fellow citizens that pretend that we're not going to have it. And until
Right.
we don't have enough police officers and we don't live in a police state to have that people on the corner. So if you want that happen, then we're starting to look at less quote unquote freedoms. So now you get stopped at checkpoints every 3 miles. Then that's what you want. That's what's coming. If that's what the type of protection that you want somebody else to look after you. That's what we have to have. We have to have checkpoints. We have to have.
I do not
border
want to live
patrol.
in 1942.
That-
Sorry.
You saw me. Did you read what I was reading?
Yes, I did.
Okay. That's exactly where I was going.
Once
I
you
was right.
once you said checkpoints,
Yep.
that's an era I do not want to live in.
I
You
need
know?
to see your papers.
Nope.
Exactly. And
No.
but other than that, there's no other way.
Yeah.
And that's why self defense is necessary for everyone to have that mentality.
Yep. And on that note, we're gonna go ahead and close out this show. Thank you everybody for calling, and thank you again, man, for calling in, chiming in,
Absolutely,
supporting
man.
the show.
Appreciate
We
it.
really enjoy you. And
Hey, my pleasure. My
really
pleasure.
enjoy having a conversation with you.
Definitely.
And
All right.
this show is sponsored by Saber Team Tactical. Saber Team Tactical is a tactical firearms company. We teach from basics to advanced. Al is also our lead instructor, and he is one hell of an instructor. So we also sell body armor, tactical gear, and we also does engraving. And got anything you want to add, Al?
Self defense. That's what we're talking about. Self defense. Come on out, see us. We'll put you through some training and make you a better person. Keep your mind going. And get it together.
Right. And with that, we will see you on the range.
See you on the range, guys.